Frank Giorno was born in Montalto, Ufugo in Calabria, Italy in 1955 and immigrated to Canada with his family in 1959. He grew up and lived most of his life in Toronto, and in 2010 he moved to Timmins, Ontario to work with the, please help me out,
Mushkegowog
Environmental Research Center. Frank is a graduate of York University with Honours BA in Political Science and Ryerson School of Journalism. He worked as a City Hall reporter for the Brandon Sun, freelance for the Globe and Mail and the Toronto Star. He is the past editor of mininglifeonline.com and the newsletter of the Association of Italian Canadian Writers. Frank worked as a research director for the Canadian Environmental Law Association, senior communications advisor on water quality issues for the Ministry of the Environment, public affairs associate for Region of Peel Public Works, and media relations officer for Toronto Public Health. In Timmins, he served as a communications manager for the Mushkegowog Environmental Research Center Five Nations Energy Project, which is very interesting in regards to what's happening now. And on energy conservation, and was the first male store greeter at Walmart in Timmins before transferring to sports and hardware. So you have so much experience. Okay, Frank has written 2 books of poetry, Elvis in America and Arrivederci Plastic Covered Couch, published by Lyrical Myrical Press. He also is the co-author of Internee 328 Camp Petawawa with James McCreath on the internment of James Franceschini in 1940 by Guernica Editions, and Horses for Mussolini, published in Behind Barbed Wires, also by Guernica. Frank has contributed stories to Acenti magazine in Montreal. Frank is the songwriter behind the Timmins song, Timmins Will Always Be My Home.
So I lied.
And the Beer Nazi song, that's funny. He is the organizer and founder of Timmins Voices Literary Reading Series, Timmins Beat on the Street Festival, the Sweet Tooth Reading Series in Toronto, and Toronto Voices as well. He has published 6 issues of Northern Voices Journal, a literary magazine featuring poets and writers from northeastern Ontario. MOPOPOMO is the first book published by Northern Voices Publications. Okay, so you also have an online blog.
Yeah.
Frank has an online blog that focuses on living in Northern Ontario. He is the producer of Eastlink TV's Voices series in 2013, which featured 12 local writers and singers. And he has a YouTube site featuring videos on diverse subjects from mining to music, including videos from Timmins Voices, and so on. Anyways,
Yeah.
welcome. You have done so much, and Frank contributes writing to all sorts of publications. So welcome, Frank Giorno.
Thank you. Okay. I'm going to read in chronological order. This is the first book that I published, and it was done by my good friend Luciano Iacobelli. Has Lyrical Miracle. These are all handmade. He got discarded books that were going to be recycled, and he took the front and back cover and he actually printed them using a printer, and then he actually sewed the books together. These were 50 copies. He really was a project of love in the way he did it. So this is called Elvis in America, and the story behind that is that I always thought Elvis was very symbolic of what America was, became, and eventually ended up being. So it started off very idealistic, and then it kind of went into a very dark phase where too much excess of things eventually led to his demise, which I think is kind of parallel. So I'll start with that, and it's very historical, so hope you can follow along some of the references. When I think of the young Elvis Presley, I think of America in its infancy. Patrick Henry shouting, "Give me liberty or give me death." A young Thomas Paine and common sense. Jefferson declaring independence with his pen. Elvis, clad in leather jacket and skin-tight pants, a youthful lip curled in a snarl. "You ain't nothing but a hound dog. You never caught a rabbit, and you ain't no friend of mine." Could it be a new king, shaking up a sleeping nation full of youthful energy and ideals? All men are created equal. Everybody, let's rock. Black and white, let's roll together. Spinning those badass Sun records like those bleep Disturbers, Jefferson, Tom Paine, and their Liberty refrain. But things changed under the Colonel's orders, chasing Hollywood dreams, bottling lightning into safe Coca-Cola bottles, sugar-coated Elvis, drafted Elvis, haircut, shaved sideburns, dreary reels of those tired molasses movies, yes, mamming his way to ruin, so much like the lost America after the Civil War, when freedom's promise went to waste, with carpetbaggers and robber barons, lust and Jim Crow segregated South. So many bad movies and mediocre songs over so many years leaves the mind forgetful to what made the king strong. There was the brief Elvis renaissance. Elvis is back in leather on TV. From his return on a cold December morning, like FDR, rebuilding America on ideal based on justice for all. But that stage too quickly faded, and the decadence set in, a bloated, drug-riddled Elvis, dressed in silly Las Vegas rhinestone jumpsuits, so undignified for a king. Elvis spinning endlessly to death. Where did all those hound dogs go, long time passing? Gone to Vegas, everyone. When will they ever learn? Don't they know how much Donald Trump earns? I'm going to end it there, because it goes on for a couple of pages, but I changed it from Wayne Newton, which was a historical reference, but I think today, Donald Trump is probably better known than Wayne who? Wayne Newton. So that's Elvis in America.
I think that's interesting, because that's a really good example of organic poetry.
Yeah. Yeah, one of my heroes was Lawrence Ferlinghetti. So if you're, the owner of the city, he's 101 years old. Holy smokes! Hope it rubs off on me. But yeah, he wrote very much using things that were going on in the culture of the day and tying them together. Allen Ginsberg to some extent as well. The next one I'm going to write. I'm going to read. It's called "View from a Restaurant." And this was written, I guess, 2004, 2005, and I reread it for the first time in like years. And kind of interesting, some of the concepts and contexts that are actually still quite valid today. And this basically takes place on Queen Street West in Toronto, a very trendy place, which some of you may have visited. View from a restaurant window. From a restaurant table, leisurely eating, constantly feeding, only the best food, the best drink, in the coolest part of town, where artists mingle with antique shoppers and antiquarian book dealers selling tomes from the past, the cool, the hip, the gangstas, the gone and the lost, by the revolving doors of the lunatic asylum, where tattoo shops and piercing holes dole out instant images to students, lawyers, and crooks, mad fashionistas and coffee-swilling fascistas, where record stores sell the best. That gives you credibility on the street. At the best table with my best woman across from me at sunset, looking so desirable, so delectable, so edible, her rouged lips slightly parted, ready to receive, ready to deliver choice words, her breath so delicately breathing. Such an edible vision, so indelible. Red sky at night, sailor's delight. The waiter brought the menu and the wine. My mouth watered at what lay ahead. We clinked our glasses of wine and toast, and holding hands, we played the game of I love you. No, 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 I love you more. As dusk turned to eve, shutting off the glaring daylight CNN world, if for a moment, a brief oasis, until there was a slap against the window that snapped the delusion. Was it a crow, a grackle, a starling, a raven? Attracted by the light? Or was it death by West Nile virus? Or maybe avian flu? Or was it the polluted air and toxic fumes that killed the bird? I looked out the window and saw the lifeless form and the disturbing questions that it raised. An old bag lady shuffled from down the street to see what was wrong. Her life pushed along in split-level grocery bags, stacked haphazardly in shopping carts, filled with her lost dreams and song. A beggar man moved towards the crowd, searching for a handout. A cigarette would do. That tattered jacket and stained crown, 2 sizes too big Salvation Army coat, worn out, and jeans worn out at the knee, wondering what all the fuss was about a dead bird. From the hedges emerged the lost. They had no past, no present, no future. They struggled to congregate like the tortured corpses in a George Romero movie. They were the soiled innocents who roamed at will under cover of night, through the urine and the vomit in moldy coats, through winter's chill by summer's killing heat. From the west, a voice of a crazed street corner orator could be heard preaching uneasy words. The gathered scattered as he approached. It didn't matter. He didn't even see them. Only the demons in his mind, with drool on his chin, screaming loudly to the heavens to make sure God could hear him and forgive him his sins. He picked up the limp, sentient being, held it up as if in sacrifice, and walked towards the unlit church, where he smashed it against the stained glass window and chastised the Lord for not listening. The crowd giggled from across the street at the fool who walked this earth. So I really find it a paradox that the trendiest places in Toronto, Jimmy Chid, how you doing? Meshed with some of life's problems. And my daughter Sophie across the ways could tell you about Queen West today as well. She lives in the area. And I'm writing about what it was about 15, 20 years ago. And you've got the Queen Street Mental Health Center and the people that live there, a lot of artists, and it's just an amazing contradiction, but a really lively place to go and experience life. Like my dear friend Josie DiCiascio, I was born in Italy.
And you were born the same year as me.
55, but different parts of Italy. I was born in Calabria. You were born in Abruzzo?
Abruzzo.
There you go, Abruzzo. And I've been there too, by the way. But, you know, since I was a kid, I've always been referred to as Italian-Canadian. Italian-Canadian. So I wrote a poem called The Hyphen. But I'm not an Italian hyphen, I'm just a hyphen. If there's any English teachers in the room. I am a hyphen. I stand between two worlds and fit exactly into neither. I walk a fine line on the edge between light and shadow. Neither of the past I inherited or the present I am forging. I'm living in the cracks between two solids, neither shore nor island. I am the water that flows on by, occasionally raging at the sands. I'm living. I eat food. At night I sleep, sleepless nights. What I like, what I do, how I look, how I speak is not like you or them. It's something new, not quite emerged, a seed sowed into the fissures of granite stone. But somehow I will grow. I must grow beyond the fertile till and loam or turn to rust. I saw a hyphen on the street today, looked at the reflection in the store window, and discovered that hyphen was me. I walked by with nothing to say. I looked away and noticed a person walking gingerly. He was a hyphen. One could plainly see. He was a hyphen, but slightly darker than me. Together we walked side by side, and for that moment, we felt less hyphenated, more appreciated, less alienated. Lincoln said, "A house divided against itself cannot stand." I say, a self against itself cannot stand. Must I destroy this hyphen and become an either or? Must I stomp it to the floor? I don't want to be a hyphen anymore. Can't you see that beneath it all? I'm an exclamation mark, an expression of the strength within. I want to shout, this is me. This is what I'm about. In the light and through the dark, I'm an original, something seminal. I'm not like you or them, but I too have a voice. So listen to me sing, and together, let's rejoice.
You're still hiding.
Still hiding. Semicolon. I just want to write. I just want to read one more. It's a short one, and it's. I worked around the time I was working on this book. I worked at Toronto Public Health during the time of SARS. Which, hey, today we got the coronavirus. Nothing changes. Slightly different, but this is called Cyrus the Chicken, and at that time, people didn't really know what was causing SARS. They thought it came from chickens, mostly the avian flu. But this was something completely different. But anyways, Cyrus the Chicken. Has anybody seen my chicken? I saw him in the yard the other day, a rooster named Cyrus, playing with the hens and the chicks, among the hay and the sticks, hanging with the ducks and the geese, free-ranging all the way, until one day, he sneezed. The vet said he was diseased. He said Cyrus had a virus. What type he could not say. He wrapped Cyrus in a towel, put him in a box, and drove him to detox, in a lab far away for tests and observation, to prevent spread and infestation, global economic devastation. The doctor called the WHO and asked him what to do. The voice said, sounds like that chicken has been stricken with the avian flu. So you better call the farmers, kill all the chickens. It was a scene that would sicken, a scene of biblical proportions, blood and feathers everywhere. Make you lose your hair. There was a lot of bad karma on the pharma that day. I searched high and low, but no one seemed to know. He was in the yard just the other day, Cyrus the rooster. All he needed was a booster so he could go back and play with the hens and the chicks. That's how he got his kicks. So if you see my chicken, tell him I'm all alone, sitting by my telephone. Cyrus, won't you please come home? But I guess we always blame the birds for everything. Even Alfred Hitchcock in that movie, The Birds. The next book that Luciano and Lyrical Myrical produced is called Jewish, Portuguese, and they all say, yeah, we all have plastic-covered couches that we could never sit on because they arrived, they had this new couch, they were proud of it, they wrapped it in plastic, it was in the living room, only for the guests. We could not go and sit on it. And if we did, and you happened to be wearing shorts, it was a hot Toronto day, hot Oakville day, you get stuck to it because, it was hot, and I just remember distinctly getting up and just hearing that. So it brought back memories, because I think Arrivederci plastic covered couch basically is the passing of that period. I don't think they have too many plastic covered couches. I think Scotchgard killed it off, right? Scotchgard got rid of all plastic.
I remember when we moved to Canada in the 60s, everybody had one.
Yeah.
And they were usually French provincial.
Yeah. That's right.
And they were from the brick or something like that.
Bad boy. Also bad boy. That's right. But the brick was coming in those days too.
Many places, many homes had 2 rooms.
Yeah.
That's right. One that was plastic covered and walked.
Yeah. That's right. And then the everyday one. That's right. So. That's right. To the one that they never used upstairs, and the one downstairs that was used every day. That's right. I don't understand it, but anyways.
But just to clarify, they don't do that in Italy. It was just because.
That's so funny.
Isn't it funny?
Yeah.
I think it's because they wanted to keep it so luxurious.
Yeah. Just to remind them at the end of a hard day's work why they're.
Which no one looked at, so.
Yeah.
So funny.
It's funny. Anyways, okay, so the Arrivederci plastic-covered couch. The furniture in my mother's living room came in threes. The armchair, the love seat, and the holy couch. We couldn't sit on them, they were for show. It was on a hot, humid July day when my parents toiled in factories, baking like meat in the oven, that I, in youthful summer heat, felt the pleasure of her skin as our bodies entwined on the holy couch. And its sacred plastic wrap, as we headed to the first coming with a quiver and a crack that sounded like thunder. She thought it was love, but I knew it was a rupture that would unravel Mom's enjoyment of the rapture. She was stuck on me, I was stuck on her, and together we were stuck on my mother's plastic-covered couch. Long enough for Mom to arrive at the second coming, the earthly kind, not the heavenly one she was waiting for. When Mom died, she left behind the tattered plastic-covered couch, which Dad now slept on as if it was his salvation, until he too was taken and buried in the fourth level of the mausoleum crypt at Prospect Cemetery, closer to heaven, which was in the sky, and further from hell, which was underground. We took the memories of the ocean crossing, the glasses, blankets, religious icons, peasant kitchen knickknacks, odd, misshaped glass sugar bowls, a few simple clay dishes and spaghetti bowls. The rest we left behind. We carried the plastic-covered couch out through the back door and placed it by the curb. Teardrops rolled down my eyes as if I were burying it along with Mom and Dad. Goodbye, plastic-covered couch. Yeah. So, how much time do I have?
You have time for a couple more.
Okay. So, that's that here. I'm going to go into the more ones. This one I published while I was in Timmins through my Northern Voices publications. And there was a great printer up in New Liskeard, Carol Cormier, who helped put the book together. And very cost effective as well. I got 100 copies for $500, so that's about $5 a book. And then I sell them for $50, and I still have all of them. So okay, so MOPOPOMO actually stands for modern, post-modern, and it's kind of, I guess, kind of a jocular thing in that when poets get together, they talk about different styles and all that type of stuff. So we talk about modernism, we talk about postmodernism. I said, well, let's go one step further. We have modern, postmodern. And so it goes something like this. Modern, postmodern. This is an unintentional fabrication, a confabulation, nothing more than a masturbatory fascination with words, without words, absurd words, Wordsworth, wordless, wordsmith, word stage, word of the day. Have you heard? Have you heard? That bird is the word. I saw this on a Family Guy episode, and it reminded me of the Trash Man's hit of the 60s. Bird is the word. Who I believe hold the copyright to what I'm about to say. Wella, 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 bird, bird, bird. Louis, bird is the word. Bird, bird, bird. Louis, bird is the word. In case you haven't heard, Louis, bird is the word. Papa, 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 uma, mau, mau. Papa, uma, mau, mau. Papa, uma, mau, mau. Papa, uma, brown cow. Words. Letters typed neatly on a page. Words. Randomly banged out by me. Words with no intention. Words, my mind in autodidactic mode, automaton, unblinking, automaton, unthinking, unstinking, unwinking, undinking. My hands rule my fingertips. There's no intention in the retention of meaning. Mean Joe Green, mean Mr. Mustard, mean what you mean and say what you mean. Are you old like me? Do you remember George Meany, the blue meanies, accidental meaning, no intention, no retention, after school detention. Though I failed English Lit, I did very well in grade 3 phonetics. I read my Dr. Seuss, thank you very much. A pull, a bull, a muck, a schmuck. I could go on, but it may bore you. It could abhor you. It would implore you. You might deplore me, you see? This is modern, postmodern, post-sugar crisp, post-alphabets, post Shreddies, post Sugar Bear. Can't get enough of those sugar crisps. Can't get enough of those modern, postmodern, poetic, fanatic, in an unintentional way, okay? Because if you haven't heard, bird is the word. So, so I guess I moved away, like a lot of the earlier stuff was quite, historical and heavy. This is meaningless, and I think after all those Dr. Seuss's I read to you and Giancarlo, Sophie, I guess it affected my mind. But I really like Dr. Seuss. So, I'm going to read a couple of short poems. These are about our trip to Italy. And this is called, what page is it here?
When did you go?
It's called Hide and Seek Among the Ruins.
When were you, what year were you?
Oh, 1999, yeah. And we were supposed to go a year 2000, but we thought it'd be too crazy, so we went the year before. 29. Yeah. Here we go. Hide and seek among the ruins in Pompeii. Two children playing hide and seek between the columns of Pompeii, with Vesuvius staring blankly at the sky. Clouds crowning its yawning crater. Hey, Dad, if Vesuvius erupted right now, will we be covered in lava? And would other kids come to look at our bones in 2,000 years or so? How would we know? If we were nothing but vapor, would our shapes be captured by the hardening of time, like the Fugistas, given shape by plaster of Paris, huddling in terror? How would we know? Look, we are the children of Pompeii, and we're covered with lava. There's another one. I met my son on his way back from British Columbia at a place called Hornpain, which is about 5 hours away from Timmins, and the train was 9 hours late. I should have known that, but I got there at about 4 in the afternoon, and I waited till slightly after midnight for that train to arrive. I guess go to the table of contents here. In 2017, it's called My Nation is a Train, and I worked as a porter for 5 years when I was a student, from 74 to 79. It took me 5 years to finish the 4-year program, but it was well worth it because I worked on the train when I wasn't going to school, and it was in itself an education about what this country's all about. We went from Toronto to Winnipeg, and we were always hoping that somebody at the Winnipeg side would get sick and we'd have to go all the way to Vancouver, but it never happened. My Nation is a train. It's a train, but if you flip the cover, it's a wreck. So my nation is a train, ... wreck. My nation is a train of many railway cars, of many sizes, many colors, carrying people, carrying baggage, carrying cargo, carrying dreams, careening from side to side, ready to derail at any moment as it teeters on rusty tracks, winding round curves and bends. My nation is a train wreck, waiting to happen as it grinds on day to day, chugging uphill and streaking through tunnels and rattling over trestles. My nation is a train wreck of gnarled and twisted shapes, forever collapsing around the edges and sharp turns. From Vancouver Island to the rocky shores of the Bona Vista Peninsula, from Nunavut's Arctic Circle and the rock-hard mountains out west, to southernmost Peel, from urban Chinatowns and Little Italys to isolated First Nations and pancake prairies, from the Saguenay to Gaspé to Alberta tar sands, to the red sands of Cavendish and Anne of Green Gables, from the smog-shrouded cities and towers of gold, to the boreal forests and melting ice floes. Ma nation est un chemin de fer cassé. C'est vrai. Mais il marche encore toujours comme un solar, il marche vers l'avenir, et nous ne savons jamais quand il tombera. In case you're wondering what it means. My nation is a train wreck, it's true. But it keeps chugging along like a drunk, staggering into the future, and we never know when it will crash. So, I'll just do couple more, if I, at the edge?
Okay.
Just,
And
yeah.
then- Yeah.
Okay.
sorry.
Oh, I can also do it during the open, during the, let me do this one here. Because one of the things that, in terms of educational, is that many of the porters who worked on trains were men who were descendant of freed slaves. They came as part of the Underground Railroad, and they settled in Elgin County, in just south of Chatham. And there's a town there, you ever have a chance to drive, it's called North Buxton. And they've got a museum of black cultures in Canada. So this is very short, I'll just finish it. North Buxton. Airplanes just fly, but North Buxton, the railway taught me your name. Railway of freedom, soundless tracks. No clickety-clack underground in the night, northward leading, still proceeding, guided by that sacred light. North Star, Freedom Star, cut free from slavery's chain of shame. Silently across the border to Canada you come. North Buxton, the railway taught me your name. North Buxton, the final stop. North Buxton, North Buxton, North Buxton, North Buxton, the train loudly clacked. Above ground, the sounds of freedom escaped. North Buxton, the railway taught me your name. Thank you.